Thank you for joining us today. I'm Andrea Cumston with the Enterprise Wireless Alliance, and you are here for Cevo Go Certified Frequencies Today. Today's presenter is Eric Hill, and he is Senior Vice President of Corporate Operations. He is responsible for the areas of sales and marketing, membership, administration, accounting, and information technology. And I think Eric is possibly one of the best people to speak with you today about Cevo Go and the capabilities of Cevo, its companion software, because he was instrumental in its development. With that, Eric?
All right. Andrea, thanks so much, and thanks to everybody for joining us today. We've got about 20 or 30 people on the webinar. I see and recognize some members that have joined previous webinars in the past, and some new names. So I'm going to quickly do a shameless plug about EWA for those of you that may not be as familiar with us. But thanks so much for joining. We're going to talk about Cevo Go, the EWA mobile app, and online capability that allows you to get certified frequencies in a matter of minutes. You probably know EWA, you're a member of EWA, or you're a customer of EWA's licensing and frequency coordination business. You may not know that EWA is also one of the leading providers of application processing services for public safety. We're big in the business industrial space. We process about 40% of all business industrial land mobile radio applications that are transmitted to the FCC on a daily basis, and about 12% of the public safety apps. We prepare them, and in partnership with PSCA, the Public Safety Coordination Associates, we work on public safety apps. So both are areas of our expertise, and as I'll tell you in just a moment, Cevo Go is intended for business industrial apps. But we have a portal through Cevo, which we'll talk about briefly, where you can submit your public safety requirements to us. We created Cevo, which is a bit of a contraction of Coordination Evolution, several years back as an online portal for receiving all of your public safety and business industrial applications. There's an assortment of tools there for calculating a number of fields that are input into Cevo. So that is where all of the applications that are processed and received through Cevo Go ultimately reside and can be worked on, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Well, real happy about Cevo Go, and let me share with you just a little bit about why we developed Cevo Go. We found that customers and users and applicants for land mobile radio frequencies felt that the process just took too long. If you have, or anyone in your organizations have worked with frequency coordinators in the past, you know that it has taken quite some time. Perhaps it's the coordinator, perhaps it's the FCC, but the process is too long. And what EWA has been aiming to do for a number of years, and did so about a year ago today, last October, we launched Cevo Go to winnow down that window so that it takes days, if not minutes, instead of weeks. And certainly the ability for you to hop on to a very simplified application on your mobile device and enter in just a few bits of information as opposed to the dozens and dozens of fields that are required through a normal Form 601, normal in quotes. We wanted to create something that you could take into the field that your salespeople or others that are sitting with customers can quickly key in a few bits of information, and I'll show you what that looks like, and get certified. And when I say certified, I'm talking about frequencies that have passed all of the tests and all of the validations that are required of a frequency coordinator in order to produce a list of frequencies that are clear and able to be certified with the FCC. And based on your input, if you tell us to go, why, we'll send that off to the FCC after we gather a few more pieces of information. So the process now takes minutes and not days, and certainly not weeks. So let me talk to you a little bit more about that. As I mentioned, we've increased the speed. You are welcome to download from either app store, whether it's Apple or Google, the mobile app. Just type in Cevo space Go. And now we're also making that app available online. So the same functionality that you would gain from your mobile app, whether it's a tablet or a mobile device, you can now do online, and I'll provide that link. And there it is, cevogo.org at the bottom of the slide. So whether it's a mobile device or whether you're sitting at your desk, you can pull up Cevo Go, and if you wish, you can do that now and follow along with me. But I intend to show you some of the screenshots as to how you'll work with Cevo Go. It's quite intuitive, we think, and I'd certainly appreciate your input. Whether it's today or in the future, please let us know what you think. My email address will be at the back of these slides. These slides will be available to you. As Andrea mentioned, we'll push out the recording, and my contact information will be there. One of the cool things that I do here at EWA is oversee the software development. So when we developed this app, we based it on a lot of input from our existing customers and also our staff who use this mobile app. So we think it achieves the sweet spot of simplicity and speed, but please let us know how we can do you a favor and improve how this app works, and we'd love to hear from you. One of the interesting things that we have found is you can't do everything or things take too long. So we skinnied down the list of types of applications that Cevo Go can process to a few essentials. At the moment, it's for business, industrial, land transportation applications. You can request frequencies in VHF or UHF. So those of you that are looking for frequencies, for example, in low band or 800, 900, presently we can't do those, but I will tell you that about 80% of the applications that we see processed are in the VHF and UHF bands. So give Cevo Go a shot. We can do new applications, so if you're applying for new frequencies, or if you wish to modify or expand an existing call sign, we can accommodate that need within Cevo Go as well. So news or mods can happen through Cevo Go for UHF and VHF and BILT frequencies. And certainly the big kahuna Cevo online at enterprisewireless.org can accommodate all of your frequency coordination needs. But we want to use Cevo Go for the most common and the most simple types of applications. We asked some of our members, well, what do they think? We launched this last September. During the summertime, we were developing it, and Dean Ballou, who's director of tower sites and systems at Day Wireless in the Northwest, told us it's really cool and it's a game changer to be able to secure frequencies in a fraction of the time that it takes others. With Cevo Go, we're developing results to customers faster than was ever possible before, and this is exactly what we aimed to do. So thank you, Dean, for that quote, and let us get into what the app actually looks like. There's only really about 20 screens, and most of them you won't see because they are like this one that I'm showing you right now. That's a bit of an introduction. So when you get to Cevo Go for the first time, you'll see step 1, step 2, and step 3 that gives you some overview as to how the app works, what you can expect, and where you can go from there. As you enter Cevo Go, whether it's online or whether it's through the mobile app, in the future, after you've done it once, you won't see these introductory screens unless you go up into the hamburger or the helps menu and actually ask to see it again if you'd like a refresher. But see how it works once, and then thereafter, you'll always be presented with this screen, which is the what would you like to do screen. And here we're just gathering the initial bits about your application. Do you want to apply for a new license? We can take your FRN. That will help us determine who you are and what you'd like to do. If you don't have one, you don't need to provide it, thus the word optional. And if you'd like to modify an existing call sign, whether you're going to add a new location or whether you're going to add some frequencies, you can see how you would tick that. We do ask that you log in once. You don't have to have a Cevo account in order to use Cevo Go, but if you do have a Cevo account, and you can easily get one, there's no cost. You can get it through this mobile app, or you can go to enterprisewireless.org to obtain an account. And I'll talk in a few minutes about why having an account is helpful. But if you just want to play around, you don't want to identify yourself, other than we do need an email, because a great part of this mobile app is emailing you information about your request through this process. So whether you're just giving us an email or whether you're logging in completely, you can do that here, and onward we go. If you haven't logged in yet, and by the way, I should mention that when you do log in, you're logged into the system for 30 days. So if you're using Cevo Go at least every 30 days, you'll not have to log in again. If it happens to be longer than that period, the next time you come back, it'll ask you to log in. If you haven't logged in before and you want to or don't have a Cevo account, you can do that here. So if we don't know who you are when you come into the app, it'll ask you to at least provide an email address. And there's an email that you'll receive that you've received from other websites that I'm sure you've been to that ask you to confirm that that is indeed your email, as opposed to pranking a friend and having them get all of your results. We need to know that it's you. And then you'll enter in on the right-hand side of this screen an access code that we push out to you. You enter that, you confirm it, and you're off to the races. So we're just asking you on this next screen, so what would you like to do and what would you like? It already knows because you've ticked, I want a new license. It puts that there under the purpose. And then you'll just complete a few or tap a few of these buttons. Bear in mind that this, if it's on your mobile device or tablet, you're just actually tapping on the screen. If it's on your desktop, any browser, whether it's Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, you'll be clicking your mouse on these buttons. So you tell us what you want. In this example, it's a VHF. What type of location? Is it mobile only or is it fixed? And then, as you can see to the right, station class, we want to know whether you're looking for shared frequencies or exclusives. You can request up to 5 frequencies. That's the limit. We needed to keep this somewhat simple so that because speed is of the essence. So if you need more than 5 frequencies, we'll just encourage you to go to Cevo and fill out a normal application. I should point out, though, that a normal application in Cevo is still facilitated by what we call a wizard. So it can take considerably less time than actually filling out an entire Form 601. But assuming you need fewer than 5 frequencies, 5 or fewer, and it's VHF, UHF, a fixed or mobile only, you'll tell us shared exclusive. You'll tick how many frequencies you want. And then you'll tell us what the coordinates are. And let me point out one quick thing about the number of frequencies. I picked exclusive, so it automatically knows, well, you're going to need a pair of frequencies, a pair for each. I recommend that you, even if you only need 1, I recommend that you key in 3 or 4 or 5, because what you'll get once our system processes your request is you'll receive back the number of frequencies that you requested. You can always just select what you actually want, but at least you'll have a few more to select from. Down to coordinates, there's several different ways that you can tell us where your location is. ASR is a very common ID that we get from our customers, an antenna structure. So if you happen to know what your ASR number is, you tick that box and it'll ask you for the ASR. However, if you don't have an ASR, you can type in the lat and the long by the obvious button to click there, or you can click on other options, and let me show you what those other options are. You can drop a pin, so ordinarily you would see a map in your area, so the GPS functionality of your mobile device is alive and well, and if you are accessing Cevo Go from your desktop, the exact location is probably not going to be very specific as it would be with your mobile device. So I recommend when you're accessing Cevo Go from your desktop, you probably want to use one of the functionalities further below, such as an address. You can put in a city and the pin will drop wherever that is, and then you can move it with your finger or your mouse if you're on a desktop. So those are several different ways that you can select. And as soon as the pin is on the area that you wish, you select, and then you'll bounce back to the previous screen, and it will then enter in the lat and the long under the coordinates, question number 5 there. All right, so I'm skipping back. We've entered in our coordinates, whether it was from dropping a pin or actually putting in an address or a city and state. To the right there on the screen, the next series of information is the usual that you can imagine is necessary in order for us to render a quality certification as to availability of frequencies. We need to know your antenna height. You can do it in meters or feet. We need to know the power of your units, whether they're fixed or mobile. And then we need your emissions designator. 4K, 7K, or 11. Now there are obviously emission designators that are not listed here, and there's an area where, but I will tell you that probably about 75 to 80% of the applications that we process are one of these three. And depending on what you select, you could select multiples. The system is smart enough to know, for example, that you can't put an 11K and a 7K on the same app. Tell us then whether the emissions is for data or voice or both, and then you hit next. If you get stuck or if you don't know which of these you should select, you can, from your mobile device, hit the button that says Call EWA for assistance. If you're on a mobile device, it will just call out to EWA's 800 number. If you're on a desktop PC, you can hit that button, but your PC will probably bark at you and say, I can't dial that phone number. So you are welcome to call our 800 number. And in the help screens, which I'll show you in just a moment, our 800 number will be listed there. So at this point, you've entered in questions 1 through 8 of all of the relevant information that we need. And so what you'll receive is a confirmation screen, and it will tell you, here's what you've entered. And this is essentially just a summary. You'll take a look through, make sure that what you are asking for is indeed what we've recorded here. If it's not to your liking, well, you'll just hit the back button and correct whichever field is not correct. Take a look at the coordinates. What we're listing there is the specific lat long, because that's what our system will be using in order to calculate available frequencies. And assuming everything looks okay to you, you can hit the blue Confirm Technical Data button, and off we go to the races. I'll point out that you'll be receiving emails as well from the system confirming this. So if you wanted a copy of what you submitted, you'll receive that in your email inbox, which is another reason why it's important that we receive the best email address to reach you. We like it when you use an email address that has the same domain as your company, but if you want to use a Gmail address or a Hotmail or Outlook or anything else like that, you're welcome to, just as long as we can get the emails to you. There's 5 or 6 different emails that come to you, assuming you go through the entire process. So again, I can't state highly enough, we need to make sure we've got the best email address for you, or the one that you wish. All right, so from this screen, we've confirmed the technical data, and the system is off and running. You'll receive the next screen on your mobile device or on your desktop that your search is processing. Those little blue dots underneath the title, your search is processing, there's actually a little bit of animation to it so that you know that it is indeed processing. And it may be processing for a few minutes. If you're in a congested area or major metro market, pick LA, New York, Philly, any major metropolitan area where there are literally thousands, if not tens of thousands, of contour calculations that our system has to do in order to determine that we've got the best available frequency for you. This process could take some time. I will tell you that when we first introduced this, and even last week when we were talking about this at our annual Wireless Leadership Summit, somebody ran an inquiry, and it took 2 minutes to get some shared frequencies. I think they were just outside of Chicago, Western Illinois. So it still is as fast today as it was a year ago when we launched this. On the same screen, you'll see an application ID. If you've used EWA in the past, you know that that application ID is the ID that we use to identify this particular application through every bit of the process. And if you're curious, indeed, that application ID is formatted in a date, month, or a date, a year, month, day, hours, seconds, and then some additional digits there in accordance with the moment that our system received your request. And there's a summary here for what you requested. In this case, it's a new license, so there's obviously no call sign to give you yet because it's brand new and the FCC has yet to assign that. And you've asked for 3 fixed exclusive frequencies or pairs. And so that is the screen that your mobile device will stop on as the system is searching for available frequencies. The screen that we're showing you right now, the slide, if you will, on this webinar, splits the screen into 2, but in fact this is all one single screen on your mobile device, and you'll be able to scroll up and down. If you didn't want to wait, you could then go to the bottom part of the screen on your mobile device, which on our slide here is to the right. You could just simply stop and delete the search, meaning I don't want to wait, I made a mistake, but you do have the capability to just stop. Or you could say, you know what, I want to stop because I want to enter another set of requirements, but I want to save this search. And you would do the latter if you wanted to save the variables that you put into Cevo Go into an application that will be stored in Cevo, which is where all of your and your company's applications are stored for future use. So stop and delete the search will delete everything. Everything gets wiped away. Stop and save search saves the bits of this application that you've entered so far into an application that you can find in Cevo. And I'll talk in just a moment about where Cevo is and where in Cevo you can find that application. When the search is done processing, the animation, those blue dots will change and a new screen will appear, which I'll show you in just a sec. And so you know that if you pull up your mobile device 10 minutes later or 20 minutes later and this search is processing screen is still showing and the animation is still moving, then the search is still ongoing. So don't worry. We've added a couple dots or a couple bullets underneath the search is processing to give you a few caveats. For example, it can take longer in major metropolitan areas, but when the results are ready, this screen is where your search results will appear. So let me show you what that looks like. And by the way, throughout the mobile app, if you have some questions, why is my search taking so long, or what is it that is causing this, you can call EWA for assistance, and we'll be standing by waiting for your call. When the search is done, the next screen that pops up is a list of your frequencies available. And it starts with your results are ready. There's some caveats here that tell you that these are ranked in accordance with what best matches your requirements. And as you can see, you can change some of that, or you can cancel the request. So at any point, you can cancel your request. And I encourage you to do that if you end up deciding that this isn't something that you need. That way, the application won't be clogging up space in your dashboard, which I'll get to in a moment. So here are the variables. It's the same application ID. The purpose is the same as what you would have seen before. And then we give you a bit of a shot clock. You have 3 hours. In this example, there's only 1 hour remaining, but you have 3 hours to decide whether you want these frequencies. And on your mobile device, as well as on your desktop if you're online at your office, these 3 snips of a screen on the slide are actually one complete screen on your device. It'll tell you how much time is remaining. It'll tell you what time the reservation expires. And as you can see in the middle screen, this now is a list of the frequencies that EWA has ranked best in accordance with a set of criteria that I'll explain in just a moment. It reminds us that you asked for shared frequencies. If you did ask for exclusive frequencies, it would show you that here. And it would also tell you what the fee is. And in a moment, I'll explain to you how those fees are calculated. But it's a single fee that wraps all of the various components that you would normally incur, whether it's EWA, preparing of the application, the frequency coordination, the FCC fees. All fees are bundled into one, and this is a single fee. One very cool area that we appreciate receiving from you is comments. So if there's something special about this app, even down to the fact that there are frequencies that you would like, if you have some separation that you need from us, you can specify that here. But I do recommend selecting one or multiple frequencies before proceeding. Tell us what you like, tell us what caveats there may be, and we'll do our best to accommodate that. We will not proceed with finalizing this application if you have requirements that you've entered into this comments area that we haven't satisfied. So we will have a conversation with you before we finalize and send this application off to the FCC. So I recommend selecting frequencies, entering your comments here. On the far right, there is a box where you'll select your payment mechanism. If we already have payment on file, you'll see some credit card numbers, or at least the last several digits that will look familiar to you. If you have established credit with EWA, you'll see that you can just select Please Bill Me, and we'll proceed with that. And again, on the far right, you click a box that says, I understand this information, and I want to proceed, and I click the Go button, and off you go. That app will then be turned over to EWA, and we will contact you if we have any questions. We'll address your comments. You will not be charged until we have concluded completion of the entire app and all of the other information that we need. But remember, the key value proposition of Cevo Go is to render you from this screen a set of frequencies, 1 or more, up to 5, that you can now count on having been certified in accordance with all of the requirements that we, EWA, as a Certified Frequency Advisory Committee or Frequency Coordinator, are obliged to do as part of our normal frequency coordination services. So in essence, we sort of put the cart before the horse, the cart being the frequencies. You now have a set of frequencies that you can monitor. You've got 3 hours to do that. In cases where you need more time, I recommend that you still select the frequencies that you want or that you think you may want and proceed with the Go order by hitting that Go button and enter comments to us that let us know what conditions you may have or what else you need. But these frequencies, once you select the Go button, are locked in place in our system. They're not ranked optimal for others, and particularly if you're requesting exclusive frequencies, those frequencies and all of the parameters that dictated the assignment of them, those are locked in place for the amount of time that these are in your hands. And as I said earlier, that's 3 hours. If you hit the Go button, they are locked in place even longer. So that's why I recommend hitting Go. Remember, we still need to talk with you, so the frequencies aren't going anywhere, so I recommend locking them in place, and we can have a conversation with you as to what parameters may govern you needing more time. Obviously, we need to collect some more information from you. With regard to the payment information, let me just show you a quick slide about what that looks like. If you already have, as I mentioned, credit cards on file, you'll see that. We've just got some dummy information here that says credit card XXX. Those numbers will be meaningful for you. If you want to use a new credit card, you can enter that. As we know, and hopefully you know as well, some manufacturers authorize co-op funds for the use of for the application of frequencies that are narrow banding. So you can check that box. We'll contact you and get the relevant information from you about your manufacturer co-op program, if that is applicable and if you have funds. In this particular example, the invoice information is grayed out. So this is an example where perhaps you're a new customer to EWA, credit terms have not been granted to you yet, so that option is not available. But you may, if you wish, click the Credit App button, and once credit is applied and certainly is not unduly withheld, this option will then be available to you and any staff in your organization with that same email domain and who works for your company. So that may or may not be available, those invoice terms. And then the last screen that you'll see in the Cevo Go mobile app and also the desktop version is thank you. And your application ID is summarized. The order number is now assigned. So we now have an order, and that's in our system. You'll receive an email about this as well. So you'll be receiving emails throughout this process. Once when you submit the data to us. Second, when frequencies have been assigned and your results are ready. And then here, after you have clicked that you are in agreement with all of the terms and you hit the Go button, you get this summary of your application ID and your order ID, and then you're done. Thanks to you, and if you are a member, and if you're not a member, you'll see a little solicitation there to think about joining EWA. And then you just close the app, and you're done. There's one other thing I want to show you. In the upper right corner of the screen, you see the 3 horizontal lines. The developers tell us that's called the hamburger. And so when you click on that, there are a variety of options that you have if you want to start an application over again, if you want to see how the fees are calculated. You can also click out of the mobile app and go to your Cevo dashboard. So if you want to know where that is, you can also find some information there about EWA membership and the help button. So in this case, you can click into help, and there are a variety of frequently asked questions that may answer your question, but please don't hesitate to just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll be happy to answer those as well. That's basically it. One thing we do ask you to do if you're going to call about some problems or some issues or some questions that you have about the mobile app, click on that About button, because you'll see in there a version number, and that'll help us troubleshoot if perhaps you may be using a previous version for which we have updated the mobile app. But nothing terribly earth-shattering in here, the usual type of help available in a mobile app. So that's the Cevo Go mobile app from start to finish. I will tell you that if you pop it open and you log in, this whole process will take you about 90 seconds once you get used to it and you have the data in front of you and you're not pausing to go look things up. It's very, very fast, and I think everybody would agree it's a lot faster than having to fill out paper or fax it in or use other people's forms for which mail or fax or other means are applicable. So what happens next? That app gets deposited into your company's version of Cevo. And you have a dashboard. Every user has a dashboard where their submitted apps can be found and worked on in the future. However, with Cevo Go, you've already filled out everything. So the next task is for EWA staff to complete that in communication with you to fill in any additional blanks. But hopefully you've got frequencies, you're checking to make sure that they work for you, and the rest is all basically data falling into place. You can log into Cevo from EWA's website, enterprisewireless.org. If you don't have an account, the usual applies for every type of website out there where they're asking you for you to create an account. Tell us your email address, pick a username, and you're off to the races. In the future, all Cevo Go and any other Cevo created apps are stored in your dashboard. So if you're doing mostly mobile-onlys, applications to modify, and it's 5 or fewer frequencies, you can spend all day in Cevo Go, submit those apps in, and you'll never need to go log in to enterprisewireless.org to look at your dashboard. If, however, you do want to see what the status of those apps are, and you have more complex requirements for an application than can be satisfied in Cevo Go, why Cevo is a place that you need to go. What's in your dashboard? You'll find applications there, as I mentioned, that you've already submitted through Cevo Go. You'll find applications in there that you submitted through Cevo. And all of them are listed in terms of work in progress. So you haven't turned your app over to EWA yet, so this tells you right at the top of this column. I've circled it in orange in work in progress, but that will always be at the top of your dashboard if you happen to have any applications that are incomplete that you haven't submitted to EWA yet. If you have, you'll see you've handed them over to EWA, but you might want to know what the status is. Has EWA completed it yet? Have we sent it to the FCC? Has the FCC granted it? There are a number of statuses that you can come back to your dashboard to determine the status of those applications. And I'll point out that everybody in your company that has a Cevo account can check on the status of each other's applications. And in fact, even your accounting people can check on the status of your orders. So your accounting people may not be terribly interested in applications that haven't been completed yet because you're still working on those. But once a billing event has happened and your order is complete, we've sent the information to the FCC, and somebody in your organization wants to come back and find out, well, what has EWA billed us, and what customers have they billed us for? Your accounting people or yourself can come to Cevo, log in, and see all of the applications, the individual applications for your customers, and the orders for which a billing event has happened, and they can see all of your staff's applications and all of your staff's orders. If you're on vacation, they can still come in and take a look, which is why we did this. We wanted to make sure that all staff within the same company, and we define that by your email domain, can verify each other's applications. So contact EWA if you want to walk through of Cevo. We do have a recorded webinar, and we do have a few very brief videos that explain how Cevo works. or just contact us and we'll be happy to walk you through. If you've got just yourself, or if you've got other staff that would like to know how Cevo works, or even Cevo Go, if you want us to do this in person and spend a little more time with you, we'd be happy to do it. Just let us know. We'll set up a webinar or a screen share with you or your staff, and happy to walk you through. As we're wrapping things up, you can visit cevogo.org if you want to see. There's our fun little video. The two guys are shaking hands because they're just so happy with each other that they got their frequencies through Cevo Go. You can access now our online version. If you weren't aware that we had an online version, the funny thing is we just launched that mid-September, early September, so it's fairly recent. You can imagine putting a mobile app in the space of a computer monitor. It's a bit more expansive, but you can still do everything you need to do in Cevo Go, whether it's in a mobile app or on your desktop. So take a look at it. Take a look at some of these webinars. And if you want to take a quick look at that video, that walks you through as well. And we're recording these webinars all the time. And I guess one thing that's not listed here, call us if you have any questions. I mentioned earlier the fact that Cevo Go apps are assessed a single one fee depending on what you're doing. And so we've got a calculator on our site, cevogo.org, where you can tell us what type of app you'd like to put into the system, and this will calculate the fee for you. More frequencies, an analysis for exclusive frequencies. Those are variables that impact the price. But the cool thing about Cevo Go is you're not going to get assessed different fees from EWA. There's going to be one fee, and it's going to incorporate all of the fees that you need to worry about, including FCC fees. So you can calculate it here, or if you use the Cevo Go mobile app, it will tell you what those fees are before you click the Go button to tell EWA to process it. But fear not, you are not going to be charged, as I said earlier, until you've had a communication with our staff that all of the parameters in your app, not just what we gathered through Cevo Go, but everything else, is to your liking before we transmit it to the FCC. When we transmit it to the FCC and we know that you're happy, that's when the billing event occurs. Real quick, something completely separate from Cevo Go. If you were at our Wireless Leadership Summit last week, you heard a little bit about this, but I did want to just do a quick little plug to let you know that more spectrum is coming your way. There are over 400 or 318 interstitial channels, about 80 expansion band and guard band channels that the FCC is allocating very shortly. In fact, next week we're going to learn more about the finality of the rules and how this process is going to work. Stay tuned to EWA. The chief reason why I wanted to put this slide here is the fact that things are changing all the time. More spectrum is being made available. Rules are changing. We want to make sure that we can communicate with you. So if you do not receive biweekly emails from EWA and periodic bulletins from us, please contact me. I'll put my information up in just a second. You can contact us at membership@enterprisewireless.org. Any number of email addresses that you have for EWA, contact us and ask us to put you and anyone else within your company on our mailing list. We're happy to get, in fact, we'd love to get our newsletters and our bulletins into your hands. So if you're dealing with spectrum, if you're dealing with licensing and coordination and all of the issues that deal with getting frequencies into the hands of your customers, and you're not yet receiving EWA's communications, please let us know and we'll get you loaded into our system so that you can start getting that. The new spectrum will not instantly or will not immediately be available for application through Cevo Go. We've got to load that up and program that, but I did want to let you know that the spectrum is available. So it will become available through the normal Cevo process. And we will update you. We are not receiving applications yet for this new spectrum. Communication will go out. Several will probably go out informing our members about the process, when you'll be able to submit those applications, and in what manner and how the process will work. So we're really looking forward to doing that, and we're looking forward to getting that information in your hands. So let us know if we don't have you in our system yet. And lastly, go to Cevo Go, download it, play with it. Please let us know what you like, what you don't like. The cool thing about software is it's easy to change. Some things are easier than others, but we'd love to make sure that this app is addressing your needs. you may have a dedicated Spectrum advisor assigned to your company. If you do not, let us know and we can do so. If you like the fact that any one of our dozen staff can help you at any one time and you like that variety, why, we can do it that way as well. But we're happy to assign a dedicated person if that would help you. And here are the usual phone numbers and web addresses to visit in case you have any questions. So Andrea, at this point, I think I am done, and I would encourage you to, I see we've got some questions, so if there are any other questions, please ask them. I'll start going through some answers, and we will, in the next 15 minutes, attempt to answer anything that comes through. And if we don't get to the end, we will post answers to the questions on our website, so that if you've asked but we weren't able to answer your question, we'll be happy to do that. So I have one question. Let me just read. Do I need to be a member of EWA to use Cevo Go? And that answer is no. You do not need to be a member. We certainly hope that you are, and there are a considerable number of advantages that you would benefit from by being a member of EWA, not the least of which is information about new opportunities for Spectrum assignments. But you don't need to be. And a corollary question further down, do I need to provide a email address and log in with a password? And that answer is sort of. We do need an email address from you because we need to know where to get emails about the status of your Cevo Go application. But you need not log in with a username and password if you don't want to. If you do not have a username and password, however, we cannot store your applications in a Cevo dashboard. So I do encourage you to set that up. There is no cost. You do not need to be a member of EWA in order to have a username and password to Cevo. Some pricing is variable and more favorable to members, but all of our frequency coordination rates are the same. But additional services are variable and more favorable to members. So it costs you nothing to have a Cevo account for which Cevo Go works, and I encourage you to do that. Let me read this one. If I need more than so the question is, what if I need more than 3 hours to determine whether I want the frequencies that have been revealed to me as best available frequencies? As I mentioned, I do encourage you to select the number of frequencies that you want. Don't select more than what you want, but if you wanted 3 and you selected 5, click the 3 that you want or untick the ones that you don't. Hit the Go button and add some comments and tell us what parameters you're operating under that would potentially require us to factor some more time into this. But I will tell you that if you wish to not go forward with the frequencies that have been shown to you, you can cancel that app or just wait 3 hours. When the clock runs out, the frequencies, virtually speaking, go back on the shelf and are available for others. Shared frequencies, let me point out something. When you're requesting shared frequencies, we're just not grabbing the first frequencies that appear in a table somewhere. We are doing calculations that rank frequencies in order of least congestion. So we have a process based not only on other incumbents, but other algorithms that we use, that our staff use when they're assigning frequencies. We rank all of the frequencies and the cumulative overlap, meaning the overlap of all of the other systems if these are shared frequencies. We do a calculation that ensures that when we rank and list frequencies as most available to you, number 1, number 2, number 3, in order, at the top of that list are the frequencies that have the least amount of cumulative overlap. So we have ranked them, and as I mentioned, you can, through the comments process, ask us for other parameters that you would like us to consider before finalizing those frequencies, or we could scrap those, and through our communication with you after you've hit the Go button, we can look for some others if that's necessary. So there's that question. Can we use the frequencies right away? So technically speaking, so the frequencies that appear on the screen, and I'm going to go back to that because why not use the power of the slides. So the frequencies that you're looking at on the middle screen, these have been revealed to you as results ready. These frequencies are in the case of shared, the frequencies at the top of the list are the best available. Can you, and whether they were shared or exclusive, the question is, can you start using those right away? The simple answer is no, not yet. You will have conditional authority to use those frequencies 10 days after EWA certifies them and transmits your application to the FCC. That is the official rule. So you can monitor, but bear in mind conditional authority 10 days after we have transmitted that application to the FCC is when you are able to use them. We push out an email to you as part of the normal coordination process that lets you know that timing, and there's a link there. You can click over to the FCC's site to determine whether the conditional authority is applicable in your case. There are various reasons why that may or may not be. In most cases it is, but check out that link and know that it's 10 days. We've already answered login required. You don't have to log in, but you can. We do want you to give us your email address. And one last question. I'm not receiving email updates. Okay, so if you, through the process of Cevo Go, are submitting your submitting app requests, you're going through the process, but even after submitting your requirements and you're waiting for results, if you're not getting an email from EWA, then I'm going to tell you something that you probably know already, and that is check your junk mail. We are pushing out emails constantly. We use a high-volume server transmission capability that has worked for hundreds of thousands of emails. So I will tell you we are pushing these things out. Check your spam, check your junk, and if you have and you still don't see your emails from EWA, please give us a call. But I will tell you that in 100% of the time, it tends to be a junk mail. Maybe that's 99.9%. All right, those are the questions that I've received. I know I went through those rather fast. I don't see any others in the queue, so I will do this. I'm going to hand it back to my trusty partner, Andrea. Andrea, thanks for the opportunity to talk to the membership today. And at this point, I'm done, and thanks to everybody for joining.
Well, thank you, Eric. Thanks for your time today. And as I said earlier, we will edit this recording and get a link to it out to you as soon as we are able. Thank you for your time today, and you all have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Please stand by.